Kelburn started in 2007. While it's well known for its music and all the things that you might know about, it's also got a real core in the arts. Kelburn is awash everywhere you go with really high quality art of all types.
We're really excited to show you all the new work that we have in the Glen this year, which is 28 new pieces, as well as the permanent work that we have.
This year's theme is face to face. I feel like what's interesting about the Glen is that it makes everyone interact with the space in a completely different way. You're having these encounters with each other, with nature, maybe even with yourself. So the idea of face to face was to kind of like directly invite artists to like look at that relationship and see what could come out of that.
So this piece is called Blooms for Doomsday. Throughout the world, the bell is an incredible symbol for both celebration and loss. In Scotland, we use bells to mark when someone dies. We use them to mark when someone gets married, when we ring in the new year. I invite you to go and ring the bells and kind of think of that call of action of what world is going to be here to bloom and who will be left. But also I hope it brings an idea of hope, of joy, and to celebrate this beautiful landscape as we stand in the boughs of a 1,000-year-old yew tree.
One of the challenges that I found from last year was that the landscape here is so unique that it's very hard to communicate to people what it's like until they come. So we created the concept of a residency that would be 2 weeks long. The first week they'd come and explore the land and spend time here and focus on their own practice. And then they'd go away for 2 months, create the work, bring it back and install it. And then the second week was run by Sue Hill, who's an artist and performer and theatre maker. They worked with her very intensively to do lots of workshopping to, in the end, play basically.
So this piece is a Forest Chandelier by Pete and Sue Hill, brother and sister, who are phenomenal and have helped the entire setup of every artwork in the Glen and also running the whole project for the residency.
The lyrical explanation of this is that it's a representation of our human interaction with the environment. We reflect the environment, and everything about the environment is reflects back on us. The authentic version is more related to our practice. So we acquire what's around us. We couldn't redo that here, so we actually found the mouldings for these were repurposed from a previous sculpture. So I've been here for 3 weeks now, putting stuff in trees, but it's such a pleasure to be involved on all levels with this as an artist and as Marina's bitch.
Very much, I think, the principle of that was like how you can create so much from what's around you. There's an abundance of possibilities, and you don't need to really become elaborate, really, about your plan. You find it out through the process of being in the space.
My artist name is Ellie Type. I do a lot of sign writing and street art. With this project,
Lindsay did the illustrations and I did the lettering, and then we sort of pieced the banners together. The idea first came from the castle and the kind of idea of heraldic banners, and also inspired by Victorian picture puzzles. We kind of wanted to give people something to ponder as they walk through the Glen. So on one side there's a puzzle and on the other side there's an answer. So I always feel like the Glen is a really grounding place for me whenever I'm feeling stressed, and stops me fretting about the little things. So that's what we wanted to remind people.
My name's David Kemmick. I'm a sculptor and a painter of wildlife, but I wanted to do something different for me, which is inspired by the beauty of the Glen. And I've always been nuts on birds and feathers. This was the inspiration behind these pieces. There are actually 3 feathers. They're balanced and should move in the wind. So there's this one which is copper leafed, which is a symbol of link with spirituality. And there's one a little bit further up here which is white, which is for purity and kind of clanship. And then there's a rusting one further on. So it's so lovely that they link with the beautiful boat that is going to be explained next.
This is our piece, it's called Haven. So we called it Haven because of its meaning of harbour and a safe place. It's ultimately a piece about displacement and migration. The tapestry itself kind of tells a story of displacement, migration and settlement.
The idea behind the boat predicts the journey of your house is being burned down, you get displaced, you have to travel across the sea, you use the boat, and then at the end you arrive to a new land, and you drag the boat up the river, and you stand it up as a shelter. So the boat represents both the idea of being displaced, the journey itself, and then arriving.
I painted this figure repeated 9 times, moving in different ways and wanting to communicate a sense of freedom through her movement and body language. But also, we never quite see her face, so that final bit of who she is when you meet her face to face is left to everyone to interpret for themselves. And I think it's nice just for people to be able to interpret and encounter the piece as you feel. So yeah, thank you.
There were many artists who didn't know the landscape, and they kind of had to really come here and think, oh, actually, crikey, this is a really challenging space to hang and install my work. How is that going to work here? So it's been a learning curve, I think.
Yeah, I think another thing we're looking for in artists is really understanding materials, how they're going to weather, how they're going to last, how they're going to contrast with surroundings. And I think we end up choosing people a lot who have a distinct medium or art form that they work in that are quite embedded in their craft.
Sky's your end. And I guess in terms of creative journey, this came from many years of being in love with the craft of musical instrument making. Every single musical instrument is a sculpture. That they are made with love. They are made in order to be beautiful. They are made to be loved. And it's most important that the music is beautiful. But I have wanted for a long time to try and balance that with it also being an object that is beautiful. And it is made to be played. I have brought the handles. I'm going to give this a go. I've not had much chance to give this a go yet, so I'm very excited.
So, my standing stone is called Valkrane. There was an excavation done a few years ago. They found bodies. They were the torso of a man, the head of a woman who had been buried, who had died 100 years prior to each other. So they became this amalgamation of like Frankenstein monsters. And at that point I was struggling to understand how I was going to build a standing stone. So I took this idea of parts pieced together.
So with the residency, that was an opportunity for artists to literally live here for a week and then really develop their work in tune with the landscape.
Hi, my name is Carol, and I was an artist in residence in this program, and my sculpture is a raft, and this is a tribute to a raft, which is also tributes to temporary living conditions. I kind of like wanted to suspend it in between like stages, so that's why it's like hanging above the water, and it's also maybe like a tribute to really terrible like circumstances that produce great memories. Yeah, relocation and losing hope, and I kind of wanted to like maybe like raise awareness to that with my artwork. Yeah.
So it was really amazing to see that journey of the development of the piece and an idea, and then the kind of reality of putting it in the space and how that then interacts. It changes the work entirely.
Yeah.
You can do so much with so little.
It's also people power, isn't it? I think that's maybe what she's getting at. It's like you don't need the flashy resources as long as you've got like the true spirit of co-creation.
There's no ego involved, it's just
kindness.
Yeah, beautiful offering. There's space for everyone here.